Hi, everyone. Thank you for episode 2 of Wisdom from the Dying, Aging, and Deeply Alive. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic is grief. Hi, Roya. Welcome.
Hi, Willow. Thank you for having us here.
I'm going to start today's session with uh, writing about grief and kind of like some poetry about grief, and then we'll open up the discussion, okay?
Sure.
Grief is the body's way of metabolizing loss. It's not just an emotion, it's an initiation. Grief is what happens when love has nowhere to go. When the shape of our world changes, but our heart still reaches for what's gone. We feel the ache and the loss in our bones, the hollowness behind our eyes, the sudden flood for no reason at all, the forgetting, the remembering, the longing that has no destination. Grief is not a problem to be fixed or something to get over. It's a passage. It's sacred. It's a threshold where something ends and the unknown begins. Grief holds hands with love, rage, gratitude, relief, confusion, and clarity, sometimes all in the same breath. It doesn't show up just when someone dies, it shows up every time there's a loss. Grief is in the ending of a relationship, dreams unfulfilled, the version of us that no longer fits, and a life that no longer feels aligned. Grief is the body's way of honoring what mattered. It's the soul's rebellion against pretending that everything is fine. And if we allow it, if we stop trying to rush it, if we stop trying to suppress it, and we stop trying to fix it, grief is alchemy. It'll carve us open, but not leave us empty. Instead, we will evolve changed, more real, more tender, more alive. Grief is not a detour, it's a doorway, a sacred threshold between who we were and we are becoming. It arrives not to break us, but to break us open, to soften our armor, to shake loose our false selves, the parts we created to survive. Grief is the body's holy response to love that just has nowhere else to go. The dreams that died, the versions that no longer fit, the truth that finally lets ourselves speak. To this, it's not the silence to outrun, it's an invitation to go deeper, to listen harder, to meet ourselves where it hurts and find something sacred there. It's a portal that opens when something meaningful is lost. And if we choose to walk through it with courage and reverence, we find something else on the other side. Wisdom, clarity, wholeness, art, truth. Grief stretches us wider, not to destroy us, but to make space for the next version of who we choose to be. So, in this space, we don't bypass grief, we don't fear it, we honor it. We sit at the threshold and ask, what is this pain trying to birth in me? What part of me is asking to be reclaimed? What truth that I've been carrying in silence is ready to become my voice? Because grief, when held in presence, is not an ending, it's a beginning.
Wow. There's so much in it. I was trying to take some notes, and so many parts of it has so many deep layers, and I appreciate that you shared that with us.
Thank you. Yeah, let's hear your notes. What do you want to dive deeper in, or how did that land with you?
Wow, so many things. First, when you were talking about, I mean, there's a lot more, but that is an initiation. Like it's a totally different perspective. Most of the time, we look at grief as an ending and like a closure, but this is a different way of looking at it. Also, the part that you were saying, grief is opens a new version of us that no longer fits. That grief is has so many ways of showing up. Like it's not just when somebody dies. I think that is something that most people, including me, we never consider. We mostly think of grief only when we lose somebody, but we don't think of um, our relationship with ourselves, our relationships with other people, or um, maybe a job, maybe a pet, or anything that changes. Somebody may lose their house in a flood, or all those things. So I really like um, talking about that. And if you want to get a little bit deeper in those, then we can go to the rest of my notes. I don't want to. I think there's so much good stuff in it.
Yeah. Well, and grief in your when you're responding to it's grief of losses. I want to really, when we talk about grief as a portal too, it could be the changes, also upgrades, like
Mhm.
the grief of losing oneself and solitude and sovereignty when choosing to get married and upgrade their life. Like there's a form of grief there, even though it's chosen and it's to bring in more. Um, to bring more into our life, there's still a grief there, even though it's a
Mhm.
good thing, because we have to open that space to be able to share it. And so yeah, there's a lot of layers there.
Wow. Yeah, even becoming a parent, now that
Hmm.
you're saying, I think seeing that and understanding the complexity of grief is another way of getting in touch with ourselves.
Hmm. It's because it is to what matters. It's letting go of what matters, but making room for a new priority or a new perspective. Essentially, like what you said with kids, especially, we're grieving the aspect of us in one way while welcoming this new beautiful experience. And then when the
Mhm.
kids leave and go off to have their own life, there's another whole grieving system. The empty nest syndrome is what it's referred to, but that's
Mhm.
grief because now uh, it's a shift in the balance, it's a shift in the power, and it's a shift in the experience.
Yeah, well, it's pretty fascinating.
Hmm.
I have always thought of the concept of grief, but not to this extent. It's very, um, it's, you feel like it is a part of every day of our lives, even even life by itself, our life by itself. Like when we think of aging and how we lose our abilities and um, the grief of that. Actually, now that I think about it, I see that being a senior, I see that in a lot of people around me, that grief, people don't think of it that way and don't
Hmm.
sit with it to see why is it why is it coming to me. That's why, a lot of other parts that you in your reading, like if we allow it, it's alchemy. It evolves change. It's a doorway. It's to break us open. I just love these definitions because I can understand that we feel stuck, but we are like, there's this thing that they say. I think you've heard it probably, that sometimes you feel like you are facing the wall, but you don't turn around to see behind you everything is open. And I feel like that is how we encounter a lot of grief in our lives. We feel like that's the end. That's a block, but it's an opportunity, as you said. Um, break us open. I just love that.
Your wall analogy is perfect because when we're in grief and when we're in that emotion, we're so hyper focused on it and hypersensitive to it that we lose touch with everything else. And a long time when it comes to death itself, we're so consumed in it for such a period of time through the loss and as it's coming, the anticipatory grief, the actual grief, then the ending and figuring it out, that the rest of the world, like you said, it's hard to turn around and see what's there and it can consume us. So, yeah, when we actually sit in it and are able to then broaden our perspective and start seeing the world again and seeing new opportunities, everything is with such different eyes. And it's not just different eyes and awareness, it's with an entirely new heart experience as well. Because I
Mhm.
love how it's explained as love with nowhere to go.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow, yeah, that's very true. Um, yeah, the part that it says grief is the holy response to love, and I just love that way of looking at it. Like instead of resisting and fighting against it, to understand that um, this this is this is for us. This is for it's not something that we should get away from. It is for us to be in it, and there's something so deep and valuable in it.
Well, and I like that you said it's for us, and the more we experience it, the more we learn how to navigate it. And it's almost as hard as it is to go through the experience of grief and to experience that loss, whether it's relationships, jobs, upgrades, whatnot, it's also a sign that we're doing the work and that we're actually living life and having real experiences. The
Mm,
more grief we encounter, the more we're actually taking risks and being willing to live and experience life at its fullest.
mhm,
Because if we don't experience a lot of grief, are we really living? Are we really putting ourselves out there? Are we really sharing our love? Like, I feel like even when I get off these calls, there's like a grief because the experience itself is such a deep connection and it's so beautiful and it's so heartfelt that I feel a loss when I get off. Like, I feel like I go through these
mhm,
cycles multiple times in a day. The more awareness I have, I just depending on how deeply involved and attached to the experience I was, how long that grief lasts.
mhm. Wow. Yeah, I can. The more this definition expands, the more I see it in different parts of my life. As you said, even if it's like any kind of experience that you are really enjoying or you're really feeling it, when it ends, I I've gone to see movies that at the end of it I felt, how can I go back to life? Like, without this feeling, without this feeling of awe and, this spirit, how my spirit was touched by it. And now it's gone. Wow.
What it tells me too is how much love is in your heart, which I know that from knowing you because you embody and embrace so much and you're so present with every experience, with every person, that yeah, it makes when we're that fully present and engaged, we experience more grief, but we also experience more of everything. It's a deeper, more full spectrum of living.
I can totally feel that. As you said, I feel like I want to feel that magic, and when it's gone, as you said, it makes me feel like um, a kind of like I feel a kind of sadness in me. But recently, I'm learning that sometimes I feel like I wish I would have recorded it. I wish I had documented. I could have kept it. And recently I've got to this place that I feel like it has touched me and it needs to go. And it's okay if I didn't absorb everything about it because there's something more coming. And I want to know that magic too. And if it needs to come back to me, it will come back to me. I think that's one of the things about grief that um, I think we just stop, wait, we pause. But if we understand the flow of it, then it will take us. It will take us to where we need to learn more, feel more, and where the next magic is.
Wow. If I understand you correctly, and I want to reflect back and made sure that I really absorbed what you said because it was so beautiful, is that excuse me, you're learning to have a new relationship with grief and dance with grief the same way that you dance with joy and that you dance with love, and that there's zero attachment to the emotion, and you're recognizing it's just part of your flow and letting it move in and out of you, and having a really beautiful relationship and being in relation with all of your feelings and all of your emotions. And that as you move through with this non-attachment and allow, without trying to force, without trying to grasp and get every last drop out of it, that that willingness to just accept what absorbs and let go what passes through, trusting it will come back, is actually allowing you to have a more a deeper and more intimate experience with yourself and everything that you do.
Yeah, I truly feel that way. The thing is, I never looked at it from the perspective of grief, and now I understand because I would always feel like I missed absorbing everything and feeling, and that's basically how we feel when we lose somebody. We feel like there was more that we could have had with them, and we missed that opportunity. But very often we if we get stuck there and we block ourselves, we forget that there is so much more, so many other people, so many other relationships, so many other magics in our life that if we lose them, we will feel the same way. And instead of um, you know going for that and learning the lesson from this grief, that this is valuable, not just when it's gone, but when it's present, and a lot of it is still present. And then just turning your direction and looking at that, and not forgetting about what you have lost. I think that, as you said, it breaks us open, and I think honoring that feeling and openness and um, and and passing your gratitude towards grief, that it has given you this opportunity to open up and absorb in a different level.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You're finding the you're what I heard in all of that is you're having a new experience with time and
Mhm.
recognizing that there's no reason to force or speed up time or slow it down, no matter what emotion we are, that you're actually finding the wisdom and the beauty in every single moment, whether it's one that brings you joy or one that brings you grief and sadness, that
Mhm.
you're really embracing the power of all of it and what the gifts that it brings you, and understanding that they come with each other. You don't get one without the
Yeah.
other.
Isn't that magic? It
Yeah.
just blows my mind. Wow.
Yeah, it really is, because time is our most precious commodity, and the more, yeah, you can't have joy without grief. You don't get to experience the highs if you're not willing to experience the lows that follow. And it's
Mhm.
not even necessarily that it's a low, like you said, it's just a pause, it's a downtime, it's a reset, it's just a time to integrate everything that just happened and allow the body to settle and to be.
Yeah, it's like winter. It's like when you go in and everything slows down and you feel like everything is dead, but it's just preparing for the new spring, for the new feeling. And if we we understand the need for that slowness, for that down, then I just love this part that says that breaks us open. I think it does, like a seed. It will gradually get to a point that the new version of us, or the new version of the world, perspective of the world, will just rise up.
Yes. And sometimes it won't. Sometimes we just have to sit with it.
That is also very true. That is one of the things that I have to remind myself often, that sometimes we can't expect anything as like a solid rule. We have to just surrender to it. Sometimes we just have to let go.
Yeah, it's interesting when I have expectations, I learn more than when I don't.
That is so true.
And a
That
lot of
is
times,
so
yeah, that raises even more grief because now I'm grieving the story that I invented in my imagination versus the reality of what is. And sometimes that expectation or that story or my imagination can amplify the grief versus the learning to just be with it and not tell a story and not try to fill it with something else and just allow the universe to show up in its own time and find my own peace.
that is very true. I think that's surrendering to the wisdom, because you're absolutely right. Whether you want to get it out, or whether you want to hold on to it, whether you want to replace it, none of those are equal to allowing it to do what it has to do.
I also, yeah, and I want to bring up when we're alone with it. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of what I want to run from isn't necessary. It's the sensations in my body that it's creating. When I get out of the story and into the sensations, it's what and where I'm feeling it in my body. And then I need to actually tap deeper into that aspect of it because I feel the grief in a different spot each time. And there's different messages and associations to why I'm experiencing that grief or why I'm experiencing that sensation. And it's fascinating. Do you experience it that way as well?
I Unfortunately, I know, I've heard it from you and I've heard it from some other people. I'm not that in touch with my physical response, and I really want to get there because I know that it's real. But I don't know how I've heard that breath work will help, but I really don't know. Like when somebody tells me, where do you feel it in your body? Most of the time, I don't have an answer. But I know that body is a part of all this.
Yeah, it's where we store everything. Um, I'm thinking of how to ask this question. What emotions are you feeling right now? Are you feeling emotional about anything?
I'm just very happy
Okay.
right now. In this conversation, it just makes me light, feel light. Yeah.
I like that answer. Yeah, I want to talk to you sometime when you're in the heart of it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe one day I will reach out to you in those moments. Um, I I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I'm accepting that about myself, that I have this ability to. I I think I've said that to you before. I feel like I'm like a duck that they say they have some kind of oil on them that when they don't get wet. So when the hard things happen in my life, it just goes over me very fast. And
That's a good thing, though.
it is a good thing, but also I think as we were talking, I feel like there is a depth that sometimes I feel I didn't get that into that depth. I see that, like, for example, I mentioned to you about you or my son also. I can feel like that pain. Just it's like tilling the dirt. It's just bringing life into the dirt, and I don't have that kind of experience. And I used to fight with it, but now I'm accepting that maybe that's how why I'm here and that's how I should be. So we'll see.
Well, let's explore that because how you should be is don't should yourself. Like everyone, we all experience the world differently. And yes, you and I have had some deep talks about this too. And it's, I am a very emotional being and I experiencing things physically, emotion, like on so many levels and such a full spectrum. And that also comes with a range of experiences. Like you said, that there's a different level of experience on what we're willing to try. And so we can only experience the range of emotions that we have experience to go with. And so if we have lived in been with the same partner for a long time, been in the same town, in the same community, then we're not going to have the same range as when we're living like moving all the time and constantly shifting because it's different and it's a choice and there's a trade-off with both.
Mhm.
Like there's a peacefulness and a bliss to where you're at. It's beautiful that you don't get stuck in the emotion, that you're able to let it run off you, run through you, and stay completely detached for it. That's an incredible gift. And so you get to actually experience them, but not be stuck in any of them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's a depth there, there's a full spectrum there. And there's a difference between going and I would be curious of how many emotions or how many different sensations that you experience going around that versus going deep into one way. I know that with your son, with myself, like the range of depth of emotion and the highs
Mhm.
and the lows, um, it can be very challenging to understand to someone whose life kind of just goes along at an even keel. Like the thunderstorms and the big waves don't make as much sense when
Mhm.
someone um spends their whole life in a pond and is talking to someone that's in the middle of the ocean in a hurricane. Like there's just
Mhm.
no comprehension of the middle of the ocean and the hurricane if you've never
Mhm.
actually experienced it or seen it. And we see
Yeah.
it on movies or we see it on TV, but it's contextual. There's no connection.
Yeah.
It's out there. And so it makes it difficult. I know for myself, a lot of my pain and suffering came from trying to explain the experiences that I can't explain because they're experiential. And so
Mhm.
when I learned to stop trying to explain it to someone that has not had that level of experience and just accept they can't understand it, it made life a lot easier. And it's not a
Mhm.
good thing or a bad thing or a superior thing or a less or anything. It's just you can't have a conversation um in Chinese if you don't know Chinese, if you don't know the
Mhm.
Chinese language, and you can't talk about an experience that you like. It's all that you haven't experienced, and so it just makes it difficult, yeah, to communicate sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I see that. I mean, I see the differences, and even in like the hard experiences, like my relationship with my mother. I think she was like the closest person in my life ever, and I loved her deeply, and I still think of her very often. But I don't think that I stayed in the grief of losing her when she passed for more than I don't know a few days. there's so much of her that I'm still carrying in my heart and in my head, but there's no pain, there's no loss. Like I don't feel like, oh, I wish for that. It's just a difference, but I see the difference between how I feel and how other people who are have like my son. He has so much intensity in his feelings, whether it's love, whether it's anger, whether it's grief,
Mhm.
whether it's joy. Everything is like, and he's a Scorpion. So he has all this range of intense feelings. And I actually was doing a creative writing last week, and I said, I feel like I'm like a bee. I just like, because the subject was pick a character in a book or a movie that you want to be. And I thought, I really don't want to be anything. I just want to hop around and experience these magics of life. And it's, I know that it's a privilege and it has worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody. It's there's what people go through is real. The hardship of life is real, but it just didn't happen to me. Maybe
And
some
that's
people are
okay.
bees.
That's great.
Yes, some people are bees.
And that's just, yeah, it's okay to have a life that has been blissful and not traumatized, and that actually has just worked out amazingly. I don't think that enough people share that that's okay. We don't need to learn from trauma. We don't need to learn from pain. Like, it sounds like you learn from everything and are able to really captivate and embody living in a state of joy and learning in a state of joy and learning in love, which is something I had to learn. How can I learn
Mhm.
through laughter? How can I learn through love? How can I learn through joy and not feel like I have to go through this massive trauma to be able to learn? And so you have a lot to share and a lot of wisdom. Well, and you have a different gift. Whereas I understand alchemizing pain, you understand how to really alchemize and keep people in that blissful light place. Like, you, that's what I feel like your mission is. Like, you're the angel of light and love that reminds people where their love and their light is when they're stuck in that trauma, when they're facing that wall. You're the one standing behind them going, "Hey, turn around."
It is so funny. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's maybe I feel like honestly, when I look at myself, I feel like this doesn't belong to me. I mean, it's like this is not, as you said, it's not that I'm better or worse than anybody. This has to come through me the same way your voice and your wisdom is coming through you. And all we gotta do is carry that wisdom and let it come through us. That's it. We don't have the tools or the wisdom to understand why it's coming through us, why it's chosen us. But it is. And I think all we can do is just accept it.
Yes, well, and those are words of wisdom right there, and that's what you model. Like, you model how to move through it gracefully.
I love
And
you.
that takes courage and that takes wisdom, and it takes a lot in a world that attaches and can fuel off the negativity, to walk with that level of light and trust and knowing, and not get caught up in the attachment or carrying other people's stuff, but be able to actually witness it, acknowledge it, honor it, and not take it on and not get trapped in it. Like,
Mm.
that right there is a talent and an art and a skill that you embody very well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The same with you. I mean, as you know, I've learned so much from you. And even though your life has been, um, I mean, just witnessing you, it's been very different from mine. But all I see is, as it says, breaks you open. I feel like every hardship that you have gone through, you come out of it with another tool in your toolbox, another piece of wisdom. And I admire that. I feel like this is I know that it's hard for you, but looking from outside, this is so valuable.
Thank you for saying that. The fact that you've said that to me for years now as we've gotten together in our private groups, oh my gosh, like I don't want to go deep into that here because we're posting this publicly, but the space that we have shared privately in the group that you and I have with the other uh has been one of the most profound and beautiful experiences of my life because of what we've all learned from each other, from having such drastically different perspectives but being
Mhm.
willing to show up in the heart space and this love space. And that's the whole purpose of why I'm trying to that I'm opening up this space and inviting people in and creating it consistently, is so that when people are ready or when that time hits, there is a safe space to come to that
Mhm.
offers a clear and unbiased perspective.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
Hmm.
Willow, I just wanted to say at 5 o'clock, which is right now, but I mean, I can stay another couple of minutes. I have another group that I have to attend to, but
No, we can wrap it up. I'm so grateful for this
I
conversation. I'm
am
grateful for the
too.
topic. I'm grateful for all of it.
I am too. And I really hope that people will, listen to these videos, not because, of what we say, but because of the space that is being created. And just come in and join us and share who they are, where they are, and share their wisdom that they may not feel that they have in them, but it is all wisdom.
Thank you for that and for helping me create this space and hold this space
Oh,
and model that it is a safe space for any conversation. That
yeah,
if there's trauma, if there's fear, if there's whatever, bring it here. If there's skepticism, bring it.
yeah,
Together we can have the conversation and move through it gracefully.
yes, yes.
Thank you, Roya.
You are very welcome. Thank you for doing this, and I hope that we can see each other next week.
Me too. See you soon,
Yeah,
and we hope. Bye. And if for anyone watching the replay, thank you so much for taking the time, and please come and join us.
yes,
Um, you don't have to talk. You don't have to join the conversation. Your presence is enough if you just want to come. There's no pressure. It is an invitation in a safe space.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching our conversation on grief. It was a very powerful conversation, and there was some questions on where the reading that I read came from. It was derived from a conversation with AI that I had trying to find the words to express grief in a way that would be received. So anyway, what you are hearing me read is a combination of a conversation that I had with AI and the words that came forth. Thanks. Enjoy.